Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chouinard. I'm here with Glenn Willis and Tyler Jones. We are recording on the night of Martin Luther King Day during the football national championship because that's how dedicated these guys are.
There's a football game?
There's a football game.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so I don't know how much has changed since the last time we recorded, but is there anything new that you want to take away from what you saw today, Glenn?
I mean, the number of threes they missed at the beginning of the game was wild. Like people asking on X, like, what's the record for most number of threes? I don't know. I felt like I was watching that Houston Rockets fourth quarter in the game seven against the Warriors, whatever number of years ago that was, where they think they made one out of like 25, or I can't remember what it was.
They
But
missed
that
like
was it was
29
wild
points.
to see them just kind of missing everything. Part of it is like early start sometimes are a little bit wonky like that, a little sluggish. But you're like they just miss one more and miss one more and miss one more. That was pretty crazy. The Bucks do a great job of denying middle to the ball. Like they did a great, and they have big long defenders, are very disciplined on the end of the court in that way. So I mean, the Hawks kept working. They had a big third quarter in terms of number of points. But it's like the same. I mean, we hear this all the time, right? You dig a big hole early, you use all your energy to get back, in the game, and then at the end of the game, you are on fumes when you need a bucket to tie the game, and you just can't manifest it. And that's just how the league works. You dig a big hole earlier, and you just have to use so much energy to get back in the game, and that's kind of how it went. So it was. I don't know how Hawks fans felt watching all those three misses from the 3-point line in the first half and stuff. For me, I mean, I know we'll get into the kind of the last possession. The didn't create a very good shot there, but otherwise, I thought CJ fit into the office better in this game than he has in the past. He wasn't over dribbling so much. He was more in a supportive role. He was a big part of them producing points in the fourth quarter to get back in the game along with Naw. We can break down that last play if we want to and stuff. Um, but I mean, trying to watch CJ defend Kyle Kuzma, like, uh, I didn't really understand that. I know that earlier in the game, was having trouble with Portis. I kept waiting on them to send a second defender to go help Asa with Portis. Portis is just so much bigger and stronger. So there were some lineup issues, some matchup issues on defense that I felt like just had me scratching my head, depending upon who was on the floor. And we've talked about the fact they don't have a ton of solutions in the front court. So in a way, I guess I get it. Maybe I don't know. I don't really want to give a pass, but the big one for me was watching CJ try to deal with Kuzma. That was the one that kind of really just had me feeling like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, the Bucks do what we want from the Hawks once, if not now, at least at some point, which is to play bigger, to
Right.
to to stop rolling out three guards. It's difficult at the moment because there's just not a lot of depth. It's the starting lineup and a couple of power forwards backing them up, and no small forwards, really no centers. Like it's tricky. It's hard to do it because you just don't have the bodies. Um, I I asked Quinn a question post game and he was like totally cordial about it, I think. But I think he thought that I was being kind of a dick or something because I asked him just a question, just outright, like, just tell me about Ace's defense was basically the question. I didn't mention anybody else. And he went into a long thing about, comparing Ace's relative strengths to Mo's relative strengths. And it wasn't me like trying to question his rotation. I really just wanted to know what he thinks about sort of the progression for Ace at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to watch the end of the game and just watching CJ get picked on.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. I
that
mean,
that's
I
tough.
I put on X is like they got to get that when there's a stoppage, they got to get him off for defensive possessions. Like, fine, fine. I mean, he was helpful on offense, minus the last possession. He was helpful on offense today. But when there's a stoppage and you have a chance to get an actual defender on the floor, right? That's where I know NBA coaches when they're playing from behind, they spam 3-point shooting, they spam, all that sort of stuff. But in the modern game now, coaches play offense, defense the last 5 minutes of the game. They will sub in and out, stoppage, get a defensive guy on, stoppage, get an offensive guy on, in and out. And Quinn just had, I don't know if Quinn just feels like he can't do that or what the thought process is there. But that's something I feel like that I see other teams do regularly that the Hawks are not doing. Sorry, Tyler.
I,
No,
I'm cutting Tyler off too because Glenn just said something that reminded me of I went to the G League game between Maine and the College Park Skyhawks. I guess this is Sunday, and it was the day after the Celtics kicked their butt in the second quarter, and the Skyhawks got their butt kicked in the second quarter, just like the Hawks did. And so the Hawks were in this big hole in the second half. And you know what Steve Clay did? He went defense first with a big deficit. And they didn't win the game, but like it's a strategy that can work. Like it was getting them back in the game. Like they were down an enormous number of points, like 20 something. And they got back to the point where it was like a competitive game by playing defense first because that you start turning them over. You get misses and you're playing in transition and semi-transition, and it's better than just walking the ball up. Like it's not unthinkable to go defense first when you're behind. And I was so pleased to see that from the Skyhawks. All right, Tyler, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. I was just going to add like what was the difference between C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert closing the game if Dyson Daniels was going to be a point guard? You know, to me, I thought once he brought Dyson back in, I thought he needed to just take CJ out of the game because CJ's defense was just horrendous the entire game. It's been horrendous the entire time he's been here. There's no sugarcoating it. Like he's not just a bad on ball defender. His off ball defense is just like what, bro? You've been in this league for 15 years. You don't know this basic action they're running to get AJ Green open beyond the 3-point line. Like what are we doing? So I kind of but it's just emblematic of the coach that the Hawks have. He chooses offense over defense every time. And like I think culturally it sets a bad precedent to me, just like overall, where it's like bad defensive possessions are accepted. I've talked about that enough. I don't want to belabor the point, but besides CJ's defense, offensively he was a lot better. Besides the last possession where I don't know what he was thinking, but I just think overall, like the bigger issue though is just the lack of front court depth. We've talked about it pretty much all year now. Like, really without Kristaps, this season, Kristaps was pretty much this team would work. Like this would work if Kristaps was coming off the bench and was the offensive fulcrum to carry the lineups that don't have Jalen and Nikhil Alexander Walker on it. But because he's not available, they don't have that option. You know, and then you combine that with Zach being out, who was providing, like Zach provided some ability to just simply like he was starting to just grab and go more often. And I was getting the Hawks into quicker offense. Whereas now the bigs are looking for their guards. Like if it's not Jalen grabbing the rebound, the bigs are looking to their guards to bring the ball up the floor. They're looking to get them going, but that slows down your transition offense. Whereas when Zach will grab when either Zach or Jalen grabs the rebound, the ability to grab a go is very proficient. They could do it some with Dyson, but Dyson, because of the position Dyson plays, is a little harder for him to get all the way to the front of the rim from there. But like overall, like to me, I just think the Hawks gotta they just have the same. Overall, they have the talent concerns. They need more physical talent. And like I feel bad for Quinn in this regard. Like this roster is not great. Like there's just no outside of Jalen and Yeka, Quinn does not trust any. He doesn't. He just flat out doesn't trust Mo and Asa. Like he just doesn't trust them, and he's trying to piece it together. I get it. To me, my counter would be, well, just play bigger to help them out. But that's just never going to be an option for this Hawks team. Apparently, we watched the Bucks play three power forwards what for the majority of the game, and like they seem fine, but the Hawks can't do it. It's just not. It's not. It's like a law. You can't play Jalen Johnson at the three even for like 5 minutes to just I don't know, just to get more size and athleticism on the floor to cover some stuff up like that. I feel like that would help overall, but I mean, it's not like the Hawks played pretty well defensively. It was an offensive loss. They just missed threes. It's not really a coaching thing, but it's just like to me for developmental purposes, I would like to see um, Quinn try something new here instead of trotting out the same 3 guard lineups that just have not worked all year.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked the way that the defense started out and the way the defense finished it. Like in the second quarter, there was like a 3, 4, 5 minute span where I think the fact that they couldn't make a shot just wore down on them, and
Yep.
they didn't make the appropriate effort to close out to shooters on some plays. And so that was disappointing because it really let the second quarter snowball. But the defense, I thought was, you know, with all the size limitations and with all the caveats about how badly CJ got picked on in the fourth quarter, like for most of the game when they could play their regular starting rotation, like that group was pretty good. Like I very much thought that the Kispert thing worked out. He didn't shoot great, obviously. Nobody shot great, but like he is a lot more physical fighting over screens
Yep.
than Luke Kennard or V Krejci. Like it's just a different beast. Like when he's out there, to me, it's still a 3 guard lineup. Like he's a guard, but he's a guard that competes. Like he has the physical strength to not wilt with all the stuff that happens in an NBA game in 2026. All the
Yep.
hand checking, all the little fist fighting when you're trying to get around bodies. Like if somebody's trying to drag an arm and hold them back, he can just bully through it. Like that just matters a lot. And so I thought the decision to start Kispert was good. And I thought, by and large, the defensive effort, once you get Dyson back and you have this other guard out there who's more physical, like they look like a completely different team than what they had out there against Boston when you consider sort of the full 48-minute spectrum.
Yeah, the other confusing part was watching Veet play so much in the fourth quarter with Kispert on the bench. I didn't understand that one. Um,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like
The
V
V
feels
the
like
V.
feels like V
I'm
has more
sorry,
of
I gotta cut in. The V fascination just has to end, man. Like
yeah, I
it's a
know
great story. It's a great story, but Corey Kispert is just flat out a better basketball player than he is. He just is. It's not. There's no shame in admitting this. And like Vít Krejci is not so good that he demands playing time. So like, just stop playing him. Like to me, I'm like there were lineups that could have used CJ McCollum next to Dyson Daniels. Maybe we can get some, work something out with those two together instead of trying out, Dyson V and Luke Kennard, where Dyson's on the island as a playmaker, basically. So like I just think, I think Quinn needs to put on his big boy pants and be like, somebody's got to be on the bench. Like we traded for 2 guys. They play this. Unfortunately, they play the position we have an abundance of, which is purely offensive shooting guards. We got like 8 billion of them on this roster, but like you got to bench one of them. And Veet's the less proven of these guys. And
You don't even
like,
have to bench him. Like Kispert played 20 minutes, Veet played 20 minutes. Like that shouldn't have been the case in this game.
definitely not
They should not have been playing equal minutes. You could see the on-court product. I know you want to get Veet out of his slump. That's just going to have to happen at a different juncture. This clearly wasn't the game for that.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, and the like Tyler said, the Bucks were playing big lineups, and Kispert just has way more strength than Veet, especially on defense. His technique, getting over screens, his ability to kind of get in between the ball handler and the screener and kind of slow that whole
Yes.
process down. It's way more advanced. I mean, he was one of the best players in the NCAA at Gonzaga for a reason. It's just his technique, discipline, his commit. I mean, he's not this super athlete, but his technique is terrific. as a defender, and he knows what he's doing. So that was there too. I mean, the other thing was that frustrated me was them. I mean, their selective non-enforcement of that Giannis violation on the free throw. Like
Well,
if they call that when Nikhil makes that next three, the game's tied, and that changes everything. It literally changes everything, and you could see they're like, I know Nikhil got in there too, but like he was like basically Giannis pushed Nikhil inside the 3-point line. And I'm like, what is this select that is that is by rule an obvious violation. That free throw should not have counted. And then the last play, like, Nikhil had the hot hand, really in the fourth quarter more so than anybody else. CJ was, got to the rim a couple times, made a couple layups that helped and all that sort of stuff. And, they had the inbound play where the ball found its way back to Dyson. He had that, so they ran some good, solid stuff and moved the ball. And I know that, I know Quinn said after the game, we trust CJ in that spot, right? And the coach is never going to throw his player under the bus and be like, that's just never going to happen. But he went at Kuzma, and Rollins fell into CJ's leg and fouled him. That was an obvious foul on that play that the refs didn't call. And I'm not even gonna care if it's on the last 2-minute report or not. He fell into his leg, made contact with his leg while CJ was trying to get to his gather, and that was a foul. Well, was the execution by CJ good? No, it wasn't. He dribbled into a really, really tough shot. Didn't get into a step. I mean, he need on a big defender like that, you got to get back to a step back. You can't. I mean, you can't dribble into Kuzma and just go straight into his body when he has so much more length than you. Um, and the other piece is Nikhil. Like you like Nikhil taking that shot. I mean, how much crunch time
The,
possession has Nikhil initiated in his career? Not a
I
lot.
mean,
Like
Glenn,
not a
but like the primary issue was that CJ brought the ball up at all because he's not fast enough to get the ball up quick enough to get into a set. Like that
which
was
is why.
the
Sorry.
that was he was not supposed to bring the ball up. I promise you, the play was for CJ to give the ball back to Jalen so he could sprint the ball up the floor and find somebody for an open 3-point shot. That was 100% the play. CJ went audible mode and took the ball up the floor. Now, to me, the the other sin was taking Dyson out of the game at all. Like he should have just left Dyson in to at the bare minimum bring the ball to the floor. I think to me, it looked like Quinn thought uh, Quinn initially was going to sub Dyson out because they needed a 3-pointer. But then Ryan Rollins missed the free throw. He should have audible back to get Dyson back in the game. At bare minimum, if Jalen's not going to bring the ball up before, have Dyson bring it up because he's just faster. Like CJ's just too slow. Like there's no other way for me to put it. Like a faster basketball player beats if Kyle Kuzma is gonna pressure you up 90 feet. A faster basketball player is beating Kuzma down the floor. Like that's just what happens. And CJ couldn't do it, and so then that just threw the entire possession in disarray. So like to me, I'm like, hey, respect to CJ as a legend. He's had a great NBA career, but you got to run. I know that wasn't the play. I know for a fact that was not the play. Like you've got to get the ball back to Jalen, or there, or you got to create a better shot than that, and he didn't. So
yeah
like
yeah
it's
he
just
yeah, he didn't. I mean, I don't speak for him, but it's like he didn't detect that Rollins was coming off of Kispert in the corner toward him, and Kispert was wide open in the corner, right? He didn't feel that, or he missed that somehow,
I mean, he got
right?
fouled. He had two whole like. I think he just panicked. Like I think he just panicked. Like
Yeah.
there's no other way to say it. Oh, what a touchdown! Sorry, that was.
Yeah.
I
So
actually didn't plan on watching the game, but that was an
yeah,
incredible
yeah,
play. So,
yeah,
but no,
yeah.
no,
I mean, the
yeah.
thing is Jalen, like that the turnover Jalen had was a killer. I mean, that was a killer. The two missed free throws he had was a killer. But this is the guy you're building around. You have to give him those learning moments, those learning opportunities to build. You have to let him experience those things and build from that. And that he needs that, And so that's what makes me feel a little bit frustrated. Is it going to be inconsistent right now for where he is while he kind of learns to take, to initiate late possessions and close game, things like that? Yeah, it is going to be a little bit up and down. But to Tyler's point, his speed, his burst, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to get past defenders, his ability to collapse the defense and hit someone open at the 3-point line is just, miles and miles and miles more than what CJ can give you at this point in his career, right? And I mean, Nikhil's great getting to the rim too, but he's, Jalen's 3 times better passer than Nikhil, So it is one of those things where CJ was like, I'm going to do my thing. It's what we felt like you're watching. Tyler's right. CJ's had an incredible career, but he's not 28 years old anymore. He's not whatever, that's not what he is anymore. And they've got to lean into Jalen, even if it doesn't always work out the way that you want, because Jalen needs those reps. He needs the feedback. When something goes right, he needs to look at what did I do well. When he misses a read or doesn't execute it well, got to go back and look at what did I mess up. He needs those feedback loops. He needs those reps and those feedback loops to become the guy who is running your offense late in close games.
And
Yes.
I just want to reiterate overall, like the Hawks were incredibly unlucky to lose this game. They played pretty well in the first half offensively, I thought. They were just missing wide open shot after wide open shot. And that's a negative feedback loop that will cause you to play worse and worse on both ends to end that first half. So that was kind of unfortunate. But like I mean, it's just been, I don't know, it's just been a tough year. Like I get the frustrations from Hawks fans. Like it's been
Yep.
frustrating. There's a lot of talent on this Hawks team, and it just seems like nobody, like Kristaps can't stay healthy. The deep bench guys all got hurt at the same time again, and it's like this might as well be 2023 instead of 2026. Like nothing has really changed in like basically 3 years of Hawks basketball, and it, like, to me, it speaks to the fact that in today's NBA, you cannot afford to trade first round draft picks unless you're getting tier one superstars. And because the Hawks traded multiple firsts for average NBA starting point guard, they don't have the ability to address issues when they come up, when they have injury issues. Like even if the Hawks were trying to win games, they're limited in what they could trade because of that trade. Like that's just the position they've put themselves in over the last couple of years because of that decision, combined with the salary cap and the tax and all that, April stuff makes it even harder now more than ever. You like the bigger thing that I'm seeing with this Hawks team is quite frankly they need more rookie scale contract guys on cheaper contracts who can be quality role players. That's why Muhammad Gay is important. That's why Asa Newell is important. That's why Quinn has to figure out ways to get them more time on the floor because the future is not on, hey, going to your GM and be like, hey, I need this, this, and this, out of my free agent class. I'm like, every team's limited now. Like it's never been harder to acquire talent. If you're doing it by trade, you have to give something up of value. Oftentimes, another rotation player that's going to eat at your depth. And if you do it at free agency, if you don't get them at cost, it's going to be an issue going forward. Like it's going to hurt you 2 to 3 years down the road, past that first season. So like to me, I'm just like, the Hawks are in a good position right now. They've set themselves up pretty well for the future, but like we just got to acknowledge like the errors of the past are still an issue, and like it's only going to be relatively like the next couple of years where they're finally move past this era of being cap tied to being heavily restricted based on the contracts they've given out and heavily restricted based on the first round picks they've given out.
Yeah, and we talked about it before too. Like, I mean, I don't know if fans really pay attention, but NBA players don't trust free agents anymore. There's limited teams with cap space. It's a limited market. The aprons the aprons really squeeze roster in space and things like that. So if a player's like, man, there's 2 guys on this team that are going to have rookie extensions at the end of this season. Like their agents do the math and like figure out like I got to get my guy somewhere where he can actually get paid. And that so players just don't really trust free agents anymore. Like not
Now,
top tier players, they don't.
now here's the upside. Here's the upside uh, for Hawks fans. I saw it on Reddit and I forgot the username, so apologies. Uh, they brought up a point that with how the aprons work, a lot of teams are going to be squeezed out of their talent. Like similar to what happened with Nikhil Alexander Walker is going to continue to happen over the next couple of years. And I think the Hawks have put themselves in a good position to once again have leverage come free agency, either through trade or signing somebody on a potentially restricted free agent contract.
Right.
And like a really high end quality basketball player now on a reasonable market value deal because nobody else has money to spend it on it because everybody's re-upping on their own players, and then they're like have to forcing themselves into like Sophie choices, similar to what the Timberwolves did with Nas Reed and Nikhil Alexander Walker. I do think the Hawks are going to have the ability going forward to really take advantage of the market, considering the position they've put themselves in with the trades to clear cap space going forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
I mean, it's
Hartenstein
like
headed towards that path?
what?
Is Hartenstein
Harden,
headed towards that path?
I mean, he's not the only one. Their Magic, Anthony Black, they're going to like Orlando Magic going to have to do something. Uh,
Yep.
they've got a lot of money tied up in a lot of players. The Raptors got to do something. Uh, they have a lot of money tied up to a lot of good players, but they've got to make decisions to spread the wealth out a little bit cleaner for the rest of their roster. So I think there's going to be opportunities for the Hawks to pounce here and get guys on for value without having to give up much in return. Similar to what they did with Kristaps Porzingis this offseason. Like that was a even though it hasn't worked out, that was a great play by Auntie to get like somebody as good as Kristaps for as little as what they got for him. So like I just think I do think that's going to be how the Hawks are going to build out this depth and this rotation to really clean up a lot of their issues.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the Celtics couldn't bring back their centers, you know. You know, Cornette out, Porzingis out, et cetera. And
Yep, they just made new Cornets, so
yeah,
it didn't.
yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
they're a machine. And then it is going to be interesting to see for OKC how much they prioritize Hartenstein or not, or can they keep him, kind of, on the cap sheet or not. I think everybody's watching that. He's really good, really, really good. Yeah, it's the aprons create a whole different dynamic where teams are like, we have to let two guys go. And like basically the Wolves had to choose between Nas and Nikhil. I mean, they gave Nas an extension, so they were committed to
Oops.
that, right? And they couldn't bring Nikhil back. And so that was fortunate for the Hawks.
Yes. And when Tyler says like it's
I mean, the
important
Knicks
to
got to make
develop
it.
these players who are on rookie scale contracts, like Asa played 9 minutes the other night in a game where they were losing by 40 points. Like that just shouldn't happen. Like there was no reason for Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu, who are on vapors,
Yep.
to have played as much as they did in that Boston game. Like it just made no sense. It certainly could have been a reason that the Hawks were just not making any shots in the first half. Like
Yep.
that, you just can't do that. There was no reason to be milking your players in that Boston game when it was so far gone.
Yep.
And they came out and they couldn't make a shot. Onyeka did, Onyeka, like credit to him, like he played a very good defensive game on Giannis.
He always does.
And yeah, he's done that for a long time. And he didn't make a shot. He was like I think the one player who like most clearly like stopped shooting. Like he just was like, yeah, I can't make a shot. I'm not going to shoot. And like that didn't kill the offense. Like if he didn't think he could make it, like he was keeping the play going till the next person who would keep shooting. I don't know. And Jalen struggled with a shot, but I think Jalen, like, this was the first game where he kind of turned the corner. Like maybe this was an inflection point where he gets out of this rut that he's been in for 3 games. Like I felt like he was part of the defensive lapses in the second quarter in a few cases, but like he kept playing. Like he didn't stop competing. He was there in the second half. He was doing Jalen Johnson things as best he could. And like it, it might not be that far down the line until he gets out of this little rut that he's been in.
Yeah. Yeah. And schedule's a little more kind going from here. It's not as hard as it has been. So maybe that helps. I mean, you look across the rest of the season, you're like, oh my gosh, they still got to deal with Boston three more times. That that doesn't feel like fun after what we saw a couple days ago, et cetera. So they just, I mean, today they kept competing defensively in the second half. They put up, I think, 34 points in the third quarter. So they kind of got it together, started making shots. A lot of the fourth quarter was Nikhil just making threes, kind of get them back in the game.
And that's remarkable, right? Like he started out 0 for 7 and finished 7 for 16. Like that's
We had like
just a
32, I think.
mental trick
Yeah.
on yourself to do that.
Well, that's the thing that I think that's the thing that he demonstrates is we just have to keep shooting. We just have to keep attacking. We just have to keep, we have to keep doing that. If I don't care if I miss like my last five, I got to take the next one. I got to take the next one. Like it's on us to create shots for each other and to do that. And his confidence in himself and his just the kind of the offensive stability he has, kind of with what his willingness just to keep working for a shot is what that needs to be noticed by the people around him. And like, yeah, I don't care. You missed your last three, take the next one. It doesn't matter. And Nikhil demonstrates that, and that was a big part for how they had a chance to win that in the game. Was because he shot them back into the game, and then CJ got to the rim two or three times on layups, which was good there. But yeah, the late game execution is just like I said. They got to swing that towards Jalen for good or bad. They have to. And Jalen will learn if the defense collapses on him. There's somebody who'll put 3-point line. He'll hit that skip pass. He'll hit that pass and find an open shooter there, and he'll learn how to do that. But he needs the reps to learn how to do it.
Yeah. Um, any thoughts on Christian Coloco? The Hawks signed him to a two-way contract. As far as his two-way goes, like he hasn't been sent to College Park at all yet, so I don't think he's practiced with them, played with them. He wasn't
Yeah.
in College Park for any of their games, but he's with the Bucks. He was in uniform today, I think. Uh, but anything
I
that you
mean, I
want to
mean,
add there?
he gives him some size. He's been around. He's played with a bunch of different teams, so he knows what he's doing. Just generally. And but to Tyler's point, it's like we talk about this all the time. Trade-offs. Do you invest minutes into Mo and Asa to let them learn how to do the things they need to learn how to do? Asa's there offensively. Like Asa is there offensively. For a rookie, it's kind of crazy. Like the good decision making with the ball. Defensively, like today, he struggled with Portis. And that was obvious. And we talked about it earlier. Like, man, send a second defender. Make board Portis give the ball to somebody else. Help him out in that sense. But I mean, he was trying. It's not like he wasn't trying. He was trying. It's just
Right.
Portis has what 50 pounds on him, or if I had to guess, or whatever amount of weight he had on him. And same with Mo. Like Mo, offensively, there's some limitations that are there, so you got to put him on with some shooting and some ball handling and things like that. But defensively, he gives you a lot. So for me, you're watching, the Bucks have two or more power forwards on the floor, and you got Asa playing the five. And I'm just like, this team needs another center. I don't care who they have to cut or get rid of to make room for that center. But I mean, for me, it's like a question for Quinn's like, is Koloko going to play, or is he window dressing, or is he actually going to play? Because Onyeka is, to your point earlier, Onyeka is on fumes, and Jalen's pretty close to there too. You know,
And Jalen,
um,
I think, has a cold. Like he did his presser today, and it was like super nasal.
yeah,
I think he's still fighting the bug.
yeah. But that's the thing is like game to game to game. It's like I have no idea if we're going to see Koloko play 10 minutes. Cut Onyeka's minutes down to 30 instead of 36. Or whatever you can do to make that happen. It might be a little bit matchup dependent if they're playing a lesser team, a team that's not as good. Maybe you can get Koloko 10, 12 minutes and help out there. But that's a Quinn decision. None of us know if he's going to play Koloko or not. None of us know that until we see it.
And they haven't had a practice since he's been signed, so it's just
Yeah, but he's
walkthroughs and
played on a lot of different teams. I mean,
yeah, no, I
he has
understand,
a
but like you still
defensive
got to fit with your
baseline.
new team.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, go enjoy the football. Looks like it's going to be quite a finish here. So we'll cut now, and we'll have to do this again soon. Hopefully, we could do it
after a win,
after some interesting developments in Memphis.
absolutely.
All right. Good night, Bob.
Good, Bob.
Good night, Bob.